Hello guys, my name is Mary and welcome to my YouTube channel. I decided to share my painting journey with other creative people out there. I'm 19 and I've been painting for 2 years now on and off, and I'm entirely self-taught. And since I'm very passionate about improving my skills and learning the craft of oil painting, I decided to create a space where I can share all of my thoughts surrounding the topic. And I was very eager to share it with the world, since I always loved talking about painting and about my process and what I learned, what inspires me. I never really had a space where I could do that, so I decided to change that and actually commit myself to this journey and sharing with other people around the world. When it comes to my art projects, almost all of the inspiration that I have really comes from spending time outside. Before creating any work of art, most of the time I really observe my surroundings. Before committing to any painting, I spend a lot of time observing the subject that I paint, the scene or the scenery, or any particular landscape in my very close surroundings. And that really gives me the space to think about how I want to paint a certain subject. And I always loved the serene atmosphere that these wheat fields have, and I always wanted to paint them in such a manner that shows the serenity and the calmness of the scene. I've been observing these two walnut trees standing alone in that field for quite some time when I was going on my walks and on my bike rides around the town where these two trees are located, and they always stood out to me. And each time I am taking a bike ride or I'm going for a walk, I'm always bringing my phone, since I take a lot of reference pictures, since almost every tree or every particular scenery really catches my eye, and I always take a picture of them just in case. And also I always keep my sketchbook somewhere close so I can kind of sketch the idea first and see how can I include all the elements that catch my eye and to make some kind of decent composition out of them. My paintings are mostly focused around the trees, since for some reason trees really catch my eye, and currently they're my favorite subject to paint. For this particular painting, I decided to paint a monochromatic grisaille beforehand to act as a guide for where my darks and my lightest values will be placed. My usual approach to painting was very direct and very spontaneous, with little to no previous sketching on the canvas. I would just sketch out the main elements of the composition and I would go in directly with color. And since I really wanted to change my approach to painting to be more meticulous and precise, I decided to even start painting grisailles for my landscape paintings. And having such a detailed sketch or a grisaille really helps me to kind of relax with the way I lay in the color, the first layer of color, because the whole sketch is already there, and for me it's kind of just left to color within the lines. And I can also be kind of loose with it, on the contrary, because the whole map is already there. And this video shows the part of the process where I'm laying down the first layer of color. And I would like to mention all the colors I use on my palette. Unfortunately, you cannot see the palette and the process of my color mixing and how I think when I color mix, but I will mention the colors I use on my palette. And it contains of titanium white, cadmium yellow, yellow ochre, cadmium red, and ultramarine blue. Of course, sometimes I add some burnt sienna or Van Dyke brown as my extra colors. And I really like to work with this kind of palette, which is, people will call it kind of limited. But I don't like having too much colors on my palette, because this way I can kind of achieve that harmonious and calm look to the painting, which was the goal. And in my paintings and with this palette, I really like to keep my palette and my colors on my paintings kind of look on the lower side of the chroma. I never liked my chroma and the saturation of my colors being way too high. I always kept them at kind of more desaturated spectrum. It's just a personal thing. I always gravitated to that kind of paintings where were kind of more, people will call less fun looking, less lively looking, but that was a recent change to my approach to painting. I used to paint with such lively colors, lively greens, lively blues, and it just didn't feel right to me, and I kind of switched to this more warm and more, let's say, desaturated color choices and color mixtures, which I really like. I really gravitate towards, and I admire them a lot in other people's work. And I always liked the way yellow ochre was on the lower side of the chroma, and that's why I keep my cadmium yellow a very, very careful use, because if I go overboard it can make everything look way too saturated, which I'm trying to avoid here. I really love that this scene has that lovely moody feeling to it because of the cloudy sky surrounding the trees, and I would love to talk about the way I mix my sky colors, and especially the colors for the clouds. Before I used to only mix white and black to achieve my grays, but it never looked rich, it never looked organic, it looked kind of fake. So I figured out the way to kind of neutralize the blue, the ultramarine, by adding a lot of burnt sienna or cadmium red or some ochre to the mix of blue and white, and really made the whole gray look very rich and very lively, and actually made it look quite natural, contrary to the white and black extremely simplified mix. And that's now how I mix all of my grays, by using complementary colors on the wheel and neutralizing each one with its opposite on the wheel. And in this part of the video, I was blocking in the darkest of the darks in the trees, and for the mixture of those very dark greens, I only used ultramarine blue with some ochre and cadmium red. And for the slightly lighter greens, I just added a bit more of the yellow ochre and a bit more white to the mix. So it's a pretty simple and intuitive way to mix these beautiful, calm and very beautiful greens. And in this part, I am blocking in the wheat field, and I am only using cadmium red, yellow ochre and some white in the mix. And in this part, I'm not really laying any details or anything. I'm just laying all the basic color that I see on the whole field, and then I'm going to add some details later on in the next part. But for now, I'm just leaving this layer to dry. And in this part, I am also working on some foliage with those pre-mixed greens. And for this particular painting and all the paintings I'll be posting here, I'm using these very cheap campus brushes that I bought in the local art store. They're natural bristle brushes. Before this, I used to use those nylon synthetic brushes, and I really didn't like the feel of them when I was painting with oils. So I really decided to switch to the natural bristle brushes, and so far they're so good. I'm gonna keep using them. I really love the kind of marks I was able to make with them, and I really like when my brush strokes are visible on the canvas, and I really couldn't achieve that kind of effect with soft brushes like those synthetic ones. And pretty much that's the whole story I had to tell behind this part of the process and this particular video. And stick around for more videos to come, because I'll be painting a lot of landscapes, which I already kind of mentioned. I really love to paint. Expect some plein air painting videos even next week, where I'm going to paint more of the scenes that I also observed for quite some time, and I would love to share with you guys. And yeah, I love plein air painting. It might be even more fun than painting in the studio, because you're directly in the contact with nature and you feel the wind going through your hair and the clouds and the lighting changing constantly. It's just much more exciting and much more fun. And it's also a bit more difficult because the setup is not so cozy, but I believe those videos are also going to be very fun to make, and I cannot wait to share it with everyone. And the last note I'm going to make is, if you're curious about my previous works and my process and my journey up until this point, I'm going to leave my Instagram profile in the link of description and my user tag on the screen here. So if you're curious, you can take a look and drop the follow. And thank you for watching this video and for sticking around and watching this whole process of me painting this first layer of this small painting, which I'm going to finish in some of these days, and I'm going to post it there on Instagram. And see